What up, world? I'm Uncle Bill, and this is the Big Lumpy Couch. I'm joined on the couch, as always, by my friend and co host, Stimpack. Today's subject, we're talking about boredom. What is it? Where does it come from? How do we deal with it? And is it necessarily a bad thing?
Sure. So, what's your relationship with boredom, Bill?
I kind of relish in it. I'm that guy at the doctor's office when they tell you to sit patiently, who's actually sitting patiently. I'm counting the ceiling tiles in the roof. I'm counting the lines in the tiles. I find that to be an interesting time where I could just be to myself, use my imagination. And I think I said this before that kids nowadays don't know how to be bored.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have creativity because they can't be bored. I know plenty of Zoomers that are flooding with ideas and like making a hell of a lot more money than I probably ever will at 21. So there's got to be some creativity there. But I really think it depends on if the boredom is trapped and there's nowhere to go versus okay, well you could not be bored and reach for your phone and reach for something else, and then you have to, I don't know, fight the urge to do that, to just be with yourself. Who would want to do that? Versus the last time I was at the emergency room waiting I think it was 9 hours I was waiting in there because Canada healthcare great, but you got to wait for a long ass time for a doctor to be like, yep, you're good.
You definitely get what you pay for.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But last time I was in the ER, I clocked in 9 hours just waiting around, and yeah, I'm with you. I like being with myself, but I think there's a difference between just having a sick day or and just being in your house and like either choosing to daydream and pick daisies and be in your head versus being on your phone, being on the TV, playing games or something. But then well, now I'm in my work truck and we've got a 3 hour drive, and all I can do is look out the window because the radio doesn't work, kind of thing. Right. But that time to at least myself, it's great because I get to organize shit. I'm trapped with myself and on planes. If my phone's dead or something, and sometimes I'll just choose to sit with myself on a plane and just think about shit, just organize stuff, think about things that I wouldn't normally think about. And that's why I like boredom, is because boredom forces you to look down hallways that you don't normally look down and organize things. And then when you're just mind wandering and looking at things and thinking about things, sometimes you go down an alley you've actually never been before, not just don't normally go down. You could be like, shit, never thought of it like that before. And then you can expand on it and then think more about it. And then maybe an idea comes from that. And then you can, massage that idea into something. It's great. And I think you're right too, that I don't think it's that kids don't know how to be bored. I just think it's that they don't have to. Whereas me and you kind of grew up where boredom was optional. If you wanted to use your imagination, you could. And then if you want to play a boxy PS2 graphic kind of simple game with your friend, you could do that too. But the attention span has tightened up so much that, for example, I was showing my sister in law a video the other day, and it was like buffering and loading in 2 seconds. She's like, nope, I'm over it, bored. I just don't think if there's an option to not be bored, I think the next gen and the youth are not going to be bored because it's painful.
I've always said to my daughter, trying to show her something new. Like, no, this is boring. No, give it a minute, give it a chance. People aren't willing, or kids aren't willing to give something a few minutes to hit. It needs to be like hook right now, or they're gone. But I do want to add the fact, because I think you hinted at it, but there's a huge difference between being alone with yourself and being alone to yourself. There's a difference between being alone and counting the tiles and being alone and counting the issues in your brain or analyze yourself. When you start looking inwards, that's when you start going down those dark alleys or those dark hallways. And that's just not a place that I or really anybody should be. And that's when I do need to find entertainment and I need to go for a walk or watch TV or YouTube. That's when I do grab my phone, to be quite honest.
Yeah, you think it's kind of like a bird plucking its own feathers at that point, where it's just you're kind of on top of yourself, on top of your thoughts, and even if everything's okay, if you just get too much time by yourself, then your brain, because your brain loves looking for problems. That's what it does, is it keeps you alive. So it doesn't keep you happy. It doesn't give you the truth. It just keeps you alive. So I find myself in a lot of the times just at work today. I get a decent amount of not downtime, but there's a lot of dead time where in between tasks, I can take minutes to just kind of sweep the floor and organize some shelves and stuff like that. And yeah, I think a lot and get in my head a lot. And today I'm walking around and I'm starting to think about my diet, or I've been fucking off the gym a lot. And oh God, is this music thing really going to work and stuff? And I just stopped. I like slapped myself in the head. Things are good. Let things be good. But my brain keeps looking for problems. When you're in those bad moments and you have this dark cloud over your head and the things are bad and you've got reasons for you to be sad or depressed or anxious, and then you just think you're just, God, I just want to get out of this cloud and everything's going to be good. And then you get out of the cloud and it's good for a little bit because, oh, thank God, I'm out of this fucking rut. And then your brain starts looking for more fucking problems. You get there, you beat whatever you wanted to beat. Fuck, I'm so sad. I'm so anxious. I'm in my head too much. I just want it to go away. And then it goes away. And then you keep plucking your own feathers out. Like, it sucks. I don't know how to make it stop.
Like you said, your brain is a problem solving machine. And when you are the only thing that you have to think about, you are the problem and you are being solved.
That's right. I don't think it was ever, I mean, because we're running a, two, three, 400,000-year-olds or whatever. You're running the same machine, right? And I don't think things were meant to be okay for a long period of time. Where okay, nonstop survival for a long, long time, and then when you've survived, you're in your hut, you're with your family. Now it's time to digest food and reproduce, right? So,
Where do you think boredom fit historically or evolutionarily speaking?
like, what did our ancestors do when they were bored?
Yes. And also, I think it was a tool that was instilled in us to sort of kickstart that desire for greener pastures. If we didn't have boredom, we all would have just sat in a group and reproduced, and we wouldn't have really gone anywheres. But I think boredom is like what drove us to finding different groups of people, finding different foods, finding different resources, traveling to different places. I think it was definitely a tool.
And I remember, I want to quote you for a second that like you said that it was definitely a neurodivergent brain that started reaching for new food sources and like, probably looked at a cow and said, "Hey, what comes out of that floppy thing? Let me drink it." Who else is going to do that, right?
That was me. I was that guy in the tribe. Milk. Awesome. And sponsor us, Dairy Farmers of Canada. We love you. Get a little milk on our hats, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs. I wanted to ask you, you said in one of our previous episodes that really spoke to me. You said that boredom used to be the enemy, but then that really wasn't the case anymore. Do you feel like you could unpack that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, okay, I got my ADHD diagnosis when I was 10, right? And we went right to meds. My grades it radically improved. With my social life started to tank. I started getting more mood swing. That's a whole other topic. With these, my parents just call them learning doctors. I know that they're like psychologists and behavioral therapists and stuff like that. But he just kept talking about like boredom and attention and the whole starter pack, right? Boredom just got brought up a lot. Well, like you can't be bored because if you're bored, then you start doing this, you start doing that. I just kind of took it to heart. Okay, well, I guess boredom's a bad thing. And like, I guess, well, and come to think of it, whenever I tend to, at least when I was a kid, if I was ever tending to lean towards more like self destructive patterns, it's usually because I was bored. Or if I ever got in trouble, it was usually because I was bored or me and my friends were bored. So I ingrained in myself really young that, okay, it's not good to be bored. It's not good to just sit around and think all day, try to think of alternative ways to entertain yourself, basically. With figuring myself out over the past couple of years, I've kind of clocked that that's where a lot of new ideas come from, is when you've thought the same thoughts. Because I heard somewhere that 80 or 90% of your thoughts are recycled thoughts. You don't think a lot of new things every day. But when you're bored, your brain's trying to stimulate itself. And that's why you look at dangerous stuff or yeah, when your brain tries to keep you alive. But there's the other side of that coin where, hey, you can start like thinking about different things and different ideas, and you can take that idea and run with it. But for the longest time, I knew that boredom hurts. Like boredom hurts more for people like us than the average person. It's super uncomfortable. I've elaborated on that before. Wow, it hurts, man. Like, yeah, especially in something like school, if I'm learning something that I don't care about and I'm locked in, I got nowhere to go, and I keep looking at the clock, oh God, 2 hours of this stuff. It was so uncomfortable. And you mix meds into that. Well, your brain's not doesn't let you not figure it out now. So now I'm forced to learn something that I don't want to learn. And that hurts even more. Now that I'm in this creative field where it took me a long time to figure out how to make music, but now I want to make my music. I want to sound like myself. And I'm starting to learn what that is more and more. And I've had the same mindset. I said, well, I can't be bored. I got to be in Ableton. I got to be finding different loops, experimenting with different synths, different sounds, different patterns. But after I kind of took my foot off the gas with the whole boredom's the enemy thing, and now, as of recently, if I've got the house to myself and it's a full music day and I don't have any ideas to go to the lab with, I'll sit on the couch and put like really minimal music on and just kind of pick daisies until something hits me. And then but if I didn't give myself boredom time, those ideas wouldn't have happened. And I probably would have done the same song, the same ideas, same recycled thing. Even sometimes when wifey gets restless, I always say, let the boredom do its thing. It's nature. You got to let the boredom do its thing because now you're sitting on the couch and it's bored. It hurts. Now your body's going to want to move. You're going to want to go get a snack. You're going to want to pick up a book or do something, right? But it's until you have that fire under your ass and the boredom hurts so much, you're not going to move. So that's when you reach for your phone. That's when you reach for a smoke or a drink because the boredom hurts so much. And that's kind of where I'm at with it now. If I'm in the position where I need to either process something, because I know that I neglect processing a lot of things. If I know I need to process something, I'll sit with myself, lock in and process it. Or if I need to start spinning new ideas, I'll just sit on the couch. I'll have music, or maybe I won't have music. If I want to get it done quickly and I want to get that eureka moment faster, I'll sit in total silence and that speeds things up a lot. But I just found out that, yeah, boredom's not really the enemy anymore. It used to be. At least I was told that and I believed it and I ran with it. But now it's a tool and it's not to be feared, even though it hurts. If you just look at it in the eyes and not let it control you, some good can come out of it.
I definitely understand what you're saying and kind of speaks to me a bit. You said that boredom allows you to be in that creative space. I know for me personally with stand up that it was boredom that kind of kickstarted that for me. At the time, I was doing drywall as well as going through a divorce, which I won't get into. But if you want me to, in the comments, please let me know, and I will do a whole episode about my divorce and the effects it had on me. But yeah, I was doing drywall, and what's more boring than staring at white for 10 to 12 hours a day, as well as I was trying to avoid being in my own head with my divorce. So I started trying to make myself laugh. And my foreman at the time definitely thought I was going crazy because I would just be sitting there in silence. And then sit there in silence again. And I do agree with you. It was boredom that allowed me to be in that creative space. And I don't think I would have been able to get there if I wasn't bored.
Yeah, nice. So you can form a whole joke in your head without any tools.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I come up with the joke in my head,
Yeah,
but like after it's made, I definitely have to write it down or I'm not remembering it again. But yeah, the setup, punchline, callback, that all happens in the brain dome unit.
nice. I guess to kind of wrap up the whole boredom enemy thing, how many times have you heard somebody that you admire on an interview and you wonder how this idea came about? And how many times has it started with, well, me and so were bored one day and
And we started a podcast.
exactly. Right? It usually starts there. How did you write this, amazing riff, this, that, or the third? I don't know. We were bored backstage one day and this happened. It's because, yeah, that boredom made you do it. You didn't want to sit around and be in this uncomfortable position. And if you're a music person or you make things, you do your thing to avoid that pain. Pain makes you move. But so you can form whole jokes and things in your head without writing anything down or being in your office or anything.
Yeah, Uncle Bill is walking around a little stage in my head, with lights and everything, telling me jokes. And I'm like, you know what, Uncle Bill? I'm gonna steal that. Thanks.
Because I didn't know that that was a rare thing to basically build something from nothing in their head and then go into their office and build it. Where you know how it's going to play out, and you go into your office and it plays out exactly how you built it a couple hours ago. Not everybody can do that. where I'll be at work because we've got so much note paper around, and I just stuff my pockets with ideas and concepts, then things that pop into my head when I'm just by myself at work. People ask, "What are you doing? What are you writing down?" "Oh, I thought of this bass line for this song I'm working on." He goes, "Well, can I hear it? Like, is it around?" He goes, "Oh, no, it's at home." He goes, "Well, then how do you know this would work?" Because I can hear it. 'Cause, like, I can play it back and hear it and be like, "Oh, no, this bass line will work," or "This fill will work," or "Oh, man, I gotta process my drums like this," where a lot of people can't do that. Not trying to, like, toot my horn or anything. I heard that it's definitely a wiring thing to basically create and build something in your head. You've already mapped it out, and then you just jump into your office and build it. So you can do that with jokes?
Yeah, I have a true internal monologue. Actually, it even goes further than that. I could play movies in my head. My memories are movies. That's why when someone tells me something didn't happen, I have the game footage. But a lot of people don't have a true inner monologue. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. That's something I have. I've always said that neurodivergent people have superpowers. And I guess an internal monologue and running movies in my head is my ADD superpower.
I came to the conclusion that, I mean, I don't harp on people for reaching for their phones because they're uncomfortable. At least I don't do consciously. But I've said this in another video that, like, I think it's just that they can't sit with themselves with that boredom. Whereas I guess the time frame that people like me and you came up, uh, that was just part of the gig. Was there's going to be a lot of dead time here, and the gadgets and the toys and basically the stimulants that we had around us were good, but they weren't like this nuclear shit that's around now, where you can take your phone out and do anything because you've got the internet in your pocket, which is great, but it's the biggest double-edged sword I think in the history of anything. Where, hey, do you want to give humanity fast access to all information? And some of it's real, some of it's not. Here you go. How could you not reach for that the second you get in line at a Tim's and you got to wait 2 minutes? Just stuff your head in your phone. If the option's always there, why would you not take it? So that fucks with your ability to sit with yourself. I think that's a muscle that you got to build, where there's a lot of magic to happen, and there's a lot that can come from sitting with yourself. Like all the gurus are saying, like, oh, the answer comes from within, and like it sounds woo woo, but like it's in there. it's, it's in there. Like your way is it's in there. And in order to access it, you got to sit with yourself. You might read it in a book somewhere, and then that gets you to check back in with yourself and find it. But a lot of it's in there. And if you don't build those reps and build that muscle and that rapport with yourself by distracting yourself with your phone, I don't think you'll get those answers the right way.
Remember, we had a phone call recently, and you had said to me something like that you thought that anxiety was on the rise. I have something to add to that afterwards, but do you think you could unpack what you meant by that for all the people that weren't listening to our phone conversation live?
That I think that there's a rise in anxiety.
Yeah, that there is a rise in the use of the word as well as diagnoses.
I think that's pretty common knowledge to see. You've seen the charts, you've seen the other podcasts with other mental health experts. I think it's kind of a no-brainer that people are more self-conscious and nervous about themselves, their lives, and the world than ever before because of how accessible everything is. With information just brimming through the internet, and you can just grab on to what you grab onto. How could you not get anxious about that? Like, think about, like, there's tribes right now that don't know what a president is, that don't know what the internet is, that don't know what we are, and they just do their thing, and it's going to work for them. And you could say that those people are completely ignorant to the rest of the world, but I bet you they're living a lot happier lives. But let's say that you gave those tribes people access to the information that we have. You could say some of them might go, oh shit, there's a war happening across the world and a bunch of innocent people are dying. Holy shit, that doesn't sit right with me. Now you're anxious about something that you're not involved in. It's horrible. War is a terrible thing, and it's happening. It's happening a lot more and more. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be informed about war and what's happening right now, but the more and more you dig into it, the more and more questions arise. It's almost like science, where like a big part of science just kind of reveals more questions. It doesn't really give you a concrete answer a lot. At least the research that I do is just, okay, fuck, I got another question, another clue, another question. And it just keeps going. And then I think that's what creates a lot of the anxiety, is how accessible things are and how much information we have access to. Using the tribes people reference, if you were to Actually, I'm sure there is research done that they probably have lower blood pressure, and they're probably a lot happier people than how spoiled North America is. Like, you'd think that we would be chilling and being okay because of how good we got it here. We got choices, we got flavors, we've got fast fast shit, we've got 5G, we've got access to all this stuff. You'd think that we would be a happy species, but we're not. We're not, bro. People are sad. People are mad. And it's because when you're sitting with yourself and that boredom creeps up, what do? You grab your phone and you see bad shit. Then you can't help but compare that to you. You see a ripped guy with a six pack with a bunch of honeys, and you feel like shit because you just clocked out of your job and came home, ate a pizza. Whereas, bro, you went to a job that you got from your resume, from your skills. You fucking grunted it out for 8 hours, and you came home and you rewarded yourself with a pizza, and you can watch wherever the fuck you want now. Where that should be like, you'd think that I'm starting to cash in on a lot of those moments too. But the second you sit with yourself and, oh God, I just want to stuff my brain into my phone now, then you look and you see division, you see war, you see poverty, you see things you're envious of, you see you see lustful stuff, hot guys, hot everything in between. Then you feel like shit because us as stupid freaking monkey brains like to compare things and say, well, fuck, I'd really like that. Instead of looking around, I got my own shack here. I got access to any movie ever, any song ever. Because that's so accessible now, we brush that under the rug, and well, now we got to look at what we don't have. Don't want to sound like a self-help book here, but if we just practice a little more gratitude, things could be a hell of a lot worse. But I think a big rise, the big rise in anxiety I find is awareness of mental health stuff. We're coming out with names for this now. I think this is the conversation you were referring to. I was explaining to you on the phone the other day that we're just starting to come up with names for this shit. Like, and sometimes we get things wrong. We're just starting to learn and unpack more and more about the human brain because it's such a fucking mystery, but everyone's got one. I just think that people are more and more anxious because we like to compare. We've got access to the internet. We've got access to medication that might make things worse. And we just haven't really stopped and smelled the roses yet. And I think if more people did that, if more people sat with that uncomfortable boredom and took serious inventory of themselves and their lives, I think they'd check out. Maybe I'm just toxically positive, or maybe I'm naive, but I'm sure there's some gold in your life.
It's all that toxic positivity you got from all those Disney movies.
Those fucking Disney movies, man.
I'm probably about to just repackage what you said, but I think that there's a correlation between the fact that, as I said previously in another episode, we're always stimulated. We don't know how to be not stimulated. And the fact that there's a rise in anxiety. I think that's, yeah, because we have the world in our pocket.
Then you get addicted to that.
So we see all the doom and the gloom in the world, and we can't do anything about it, as well as our nervous systems are on overdrive. Of course we have anxiety. Our nervous systems are all shot.
Sorry to cut you off, but like, do you think the overstimulation, because that's definitely a thing because of how accessible everything is and people want to stuff their face with their favorite thing, but they don't do it in moderation. They do it too much. And then that comes to overstimulation if you don't have good self-control, which a lot of us don't have. Do you think that the overstimulation and the anxiety are connected somehow?
Anxiety and overstimulation are definitely Siamese twins in this situation,
Yeah, you think so?
and they are feeding off of each other.
And going back to this phone call that we had, I only remember anxiety being talked about in 2013. I was dating a girl, and then she's like, "I'll just throwing this out there, like, I have anxiety," and I totally brushed it off because I didn't really know what it was. To me, that was okay. You worry a lot. I grew up around a lot of worrying people. It's okay. But then the fact that she did have an anxiety disorder really started to fizzle up our relationship down the road. That's another thing too. I think that when somebody says, okay, well, I have anxiety. So, well, anxiety is a normal part about being a person, where like anxiety is just like, hey, you've got enemies, be careful, or hey, you got, tiger tracks here, fucking keep your guard up. Right. But then there's people with anxiety disorders. And I think those waters get fuzzy, where when people say, I have anxiety. You could be a highly sensitive person that's just more triggered to more things. But then there are some people that do have like chemical imbalances and really nonchalant things set them off. And that's a real thing. But I do think that there's some waters being muddy here. I'm just on the outside looking in. I'm no neurodivergent expert.
We're not doctors.
We're not doctors, but like I can't help but be curious about this kind of stuff because we're directly involved. It's about wiring and that's kind of who we are. But I just love brains, man. Brains in general just fascinate the hell out of me.
This might be going a little bit more on the conspiracy theory side, but we'll dip our toes.
Get in there. What do you got?
Do you think this may have been planned? Do you know what Reaganomics is?
No, what's that?
So the gist is during the Reagan administration, apparently, allegedly, Ronald Reagan flooded this lower class streets with crack. And he was like, you know what we'll do? We'll get all the kids hooked on crack. And then we'll profit from the increase in incarceration rates.
Do you think it's big pharma kind of stuff? They're cashing in on all the anxiety meds and the Xanax and stuff like that.
Yeah, sort of. We'll get them addicted to their phone. They'll be distracted from what's going on in the world and they'll be overstimulated. They'll see all the doom and gloom that we want them to see and they'll be depressed. And we will make that sweet bank off of selling them all the pills to subside the conditions that they now have because we got them addicted to their phones.
Could be possible. My take, I haven't given it too much thought, but I've given it a little bit of thought. Or just, I look around and I see people just on their phones. Like just today at work, I was in Tim's and I was looking at the lineup, and everybody looks like the Facebook logo. Everybody is curled over, looking at their phone. Like, like I said, like I get it. If like, you're bored and you have the cure in your pocket, I get it. But like seven people, same pose, bent over, looking at their phone, and yeah, kind of got me thinking about just that. But
So then you think we did this to ourselves? We're the engineers of our own demise.
what I think happened is once the whoever the fuck made the internet, there were some rusty years where we were working out the kinks and figuring out, hey, what is this? Okay, World Wide Web. Let's all get connected. Everything's going to be great. And then something happened along the way where I think it was in 2009 when the internet first came on mobile devices, where now it's not just limited to your home computer, your fucking tower that you can't take anywhere, and some laptops and Blackberries were pretty early. But now that it's just the accessibility of information and the internet and how fast there's no more delayed gratification where everything is now. If you want a date, you can swipe and get it now. If you want pizza, you can order it and get it now. If you want a new bed frame, you can get it now. Whereas before, you had to be patient, you had to figure that out, and your circuits weren't firing off and you're not freaking out because your Amazon Prime didn't show up in a day. It showed up in 2 days. But what I think happened is I think somebody somewhere, or maybe the higher ups or the elites, whatever, once once the internet started to stabilize and kind of just became like the mall, this just riddled advertisement playground, and people were making just shit tons of money off it. I think it just naturally unfolded. Just us as curious people just overindulged in the internet. I seriously think it's hard to imagine a world without the internet now, but I think like if we removed the accessibility of information that is the internet from the whole equation, I think we would be a couple notches better mentally. What do you think?
I think that I agree with you that as society, we need mom and dad to sort of limit our screen time. And as I so elegantly put, I don't think the government's going to be that person for us.
I mean, genetics are huge too, but if you mix bad genetics with access to the internet, I think that could fuck things up.
And as we said at the beginning of this episode, people aren't willing to take the risk of being bored to try new things. It's going to be boring. So no one's making stuff or doing anything just for the sake of making stuff and doing stuff. When I was a kid, I used to take apart things just to know how they work.
Making stuff And it's people just say like, "Well, I'm no good at drawing. I'm no good at singing." It's like, yeah, that doesn't mean you can't try it. We've had the conversation about why I haven't taken more cracks at snowboarding is because I'm selective with who I suck in front of. And you kept saying, "Dude, come to the mountain. I'll teach you how to snowboard." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm gonna suck in front of you, and you're gonna fucking poke at me, right?" So now I've missed out on snowboarding. Yeah, instead of just nonstop doom scrolling with not healthy stuff, curiosity, man. Follow like whatever you're curious about. Fucking buy a book, watch a documentary, fucking get inspired, and just try something. But people are so afraid to look stupid, and that kind of mixes in with the anxiety too. They're like, well, if I learn how to skate, I'm gonna get fucking jello legs. I'm gonna and fall and hurt and cry and I'm gonna look stupid in front of my friends or my family or whatever. And so that they never try it. They're so all up in their heads that they never try it. But I seriously think that if more and more people had just passionate hobbies. My cousin's one of my favorite people in the world, and she's got a new hobby every other day because she just needs to keep her her brain stimulated. And the way she does that, because she's done it in non-healthy ways and it almost ruined her. But now she's doing it in healthy ways where she likes to exercise, she likes to craft, she likes to go to thrift stores. I saw her making fucking Christmas ornaments out of Nespresso pods and shit like that. Just that's her jam. And now she's never gonna not be curious and she's never gonna not want to decorate and be artsy. And I'm not saying that everybody should just bury themselves in hobbies if that's not your thing, but all I'm saying is like if you're a genuinely anxious person, sit with yourself just for a little bit and just ask yourself like what are you curious about? I guarantee you they probably know right off the rip. If you ask them like, "Hey, what have you always wanted to do?" And then they say, "Well, I've always wanted to sing." It's like, "But, I sang a couple times, people thought I was ass and I stopped." Yeah. Like I always tell my dad this because he doesn't really know about the skateboarding world. When you're learning a new trick, you actually don't know if you can do it. If you're on the edge of a drop in ramp and you've never dropped in before, you actually don't know if you're capable of doing this. I'm a top heavy guy and I ate shit a lot. And every time I ate shit, my nervous system's, hey, bro, last time you did this, you fucked yourself up. So you have to push through that, you know?
I don't know. I think I want to disagree with you there. I think people just need more hobbies in general, right? Like, how are you supposed to know what you love and what you're passionate about unless you pick up new things and try it?
Yeah.
I think that's where we lack as a society is that we're not just willing to try new things. And to go back to, I think that we need to just be able to like sit with ourselves and be bored and allow our imagination to go into overdrive to allow ourselves to come up with those new things to do and those new hobbies.
Okay, you're right. I like that.
Just do something, right?
Definitely, I think that's what your 20s are for. I think your 20s are for exploring and trying different things,
Try everything once.
everything.
And if you like it, do it again. And if it doesn't kill you, do it a third time.
That's right. I'm 29 now. I'm gonna be 30 in July, and I told myself, I'm like, okay, so I've had 30 years to explore the time frame that I've got, and I'm not experimenting anymore. I still will. I'll always be a curious person, and I'll always want to explore other things. But deep down, I know what the pillars are that I know I'm good at and I know I enjoy. And that's more than most people. Just I know that I love to box, I know that I love music, I know that I love to DJ, make music, draw, do all this stuff, right? But a lot of that is because I'd spent a lot of time hyper focusing on certain hobbies and figuring out what I like and what I don't like. But it all started with following the curiosity, watching a movie, seeing something in the background and going, "Oh, that's what that thing is. I'm gonna go get one." Like this stupid fucking instrument that I just bought. Like I've seen these things all over the place. And then I finally picked one up and I started sliding around and I heard that sound and I'm just like, I'm gonna make a song out of that. And I fucking bought it and here it is. I'm gonna make a song out of it on Saturday. Like,
Well, I think we're running low on time here, but I'll leave you guys with this and then I'll let you finish it out there, Brad. Just learn to be with yourself. Learn to be bored, to live in the moment. Allow yourself to be imaginative and to discover new things. Don't be afraid to scrape your knees. Don't be afraid to drop something and pick it up again in 6 months. Just try to eliminate the times that you spend in front of the screen and try to increase the times that you spend in real life.
don't be afraid to play the fool. Don't be afraid to take like to look stupid because that liberates people. If you take the first step forward and you try something different and people can see you struggle and see you fail and see you kind of having jello legs, they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to be as embarrassing as that guy, so I'm going to try it. And if we're okay with looking stupid, I know me and you are, we're fools. And that's magic is going to ripple, man. But it takes that one person to start the dance floor. It takes that one person to go for it and look stupid. And then the other people are like, well, I'm stupid. I'm crazy. Not as crazy as that guy. And then they're going to try it and it'll be way better for humanity.
Exactly. It takes a smart man to play the fool. But that's all the time we have for you this week. And until next week, have a good one, world.